Well, ladies and gents, we have breaking news today that another European government has just issued a serious warning, a red alert warning, as it were, to begin stockpiling food. This is pretty serious. So this country, we'll talk about the interesting aspects behind this country as well. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading as we go through. I'd very much like to know your thoughts on this as we talk through. So let me just show you which country it is firstly, and I'll tell you why this is interesting. This is Sweden, is now being told to prepare their defenses and their food stores. Now, let's go into a couple of the notes here. Sweden is to begin filling its silos with food for the first time since these new fears of war with Russia. They say this is now very real concerns of this war with Russia. It says after ending its long-standing policy of military non-alignment. This is the part I wanted to ask you about. I'll show you this on screen here. It says here in green, non-alignment, and joining NATO in 2024, the Scandinavian country is taking some drastic measures to build strength in the new total defense. So that's the first thing I want to ask you to comment on. Do you think this was a good idea that they decided to join NATO in 2024 and to if you think of all the things that have happened with the sort of proxy war with Russia here, do you think that Sweden made the right decision with entering into this proxy war, as it were? That's what I would like to know from you as we go through here. Because before 2024, and if you even read some of the Russian comments on this, they said we weren't even interested in Sweden, we're not interested in Norway, we're not interested in Finland. But now, all of a sudden, they are, and I'll show you on the, let's switch to the other. I've got my backup camera here today because the main camera, while I'm traveling, I can't fix it if it drops out, by the way. So here we go. So this is Sweden, this is Norway, this is Finland, and a lot of people have said to me, or when I've said Russia's huge, by the way, people say, no, it's not. Russia's not that big. This is how big Russia is. Look at the size of this country. Mostly unpopulated in a lot of these areas, of course, but my point is this is an enormous landmass. And of course, Finland borders here, as you can see. So I'd be very interested to know, do you think Sweden made the right decision by entering NATO and saying that we are going to go to war with Russia if that indeed is needed here? I'd be very interested to know your thoughts on that. Let's continue on then. So they said the government plan is to invest £45 million worth, or 575 million kroner, as part of their 2026 budget here to set up the grain reserves. The Civil Defence Minister Carl Oskar said, we are all well aware the risk of Sweden being completely cut off, but the risk of supply chain disruption and unpredictable consequences in the event of this war and conflict is unfortunately more likely. The government has therefore brought forward the planning and rollout of this build-up precisely because there is no time left to lose. So they're actually saying they've brought all of this forward now. Today we are thus adding another day to the record books as we show you what I'm reading on screen here, as we take concrete measures and steps to seriously strengthen the resilience of Swedish society. So they are starting to build these silos now due to the concern they have over this. And if you read through a lot of this, they are really concerned that war is coming. They say it's a matter of time. Also today, did you know, in Europe, EU defence ministers are gathering in Brussels today to discuss the alliance's counter to Russian air incursions. That doesn't sound very positive to me, what their counter exactly is going to be. It also says a civil preparedness fair that took place recently. A number of people are saying they're taking the prospect of hostilities with Russia seriously and preparing as much as they can. One lady said, "I bought a camping stove. I've taken a course on preservation in an old-fashioned way where you can preserve vegetables, meat and fruit that last for 30 years without a refrigerator. I've set aside blankets for warmth." This is what we talked about the other day with the emergency sleeping bags and things. "I bought a gas burner for heating. I've also stocked up at my countryside home," she said. So this only took place, we're on 15th of October today, UK time and date. So this was just 2 weeks ago then. They held their preparedness week, 2 to 3 weeks ago. And this was, if you look at the concept, it's to mobilize all of society, from the authorities, military, citizens, and businesses, to collectively resist armed aggression with Russia. They also said that the focus in Sweden is on personal or individual responsibility because the government is not coming to your rescue. It says it in black and white. "Everyone is encouraged to stockpile enough food to live independently for at least 7 days without external aid in the event of a crisis." The Swedish Civil Contingencies Agency has published a list of recommended foods that are high in fat and protein and easy to store. What made me laugh about this when I saw it was that you typically have a lot of these countries. Do you remember the food pyramid and all that sort of nonsense that they had tomato ketchup on there as a vegetable and chips, fries, I think called different things in different places, but French fries as a vegetable because it's a potato, all that sort of nonsense. Fat's bad for you, all this stuff. They don't the most ridiculous, counterintuitive, incongruent things possible. And now they're actually coming out and saying, yes, you need a lot of fat stores, you need a lot of protein, this is the food you need. So it's obvious when you're in peacetime and they're trying to make all this money with the food manufacturers, they just talk absolute nonsense, tell you all this stuff. And now we're coming to this sort of war period. They're saying, okay, forget all that. You need high fat, high protein meals, which is correct. That is what you eat. Someone said to me a while back when they saw my breakfast, I eat a lot of flitch for breakfast, which is thick fat, very thick fat, because it keeps you going for a long time. And someone said, oh, that's the junk you're eating there. I think they said, that's the junk. Why do you eat that? I said, no, that's the best bit because it's all the energy in the fat. They said, no, you're eating the junk. And what else did they say? Oh, you should just eat the clean cuts and all this other stuff. And I said, okay, yeah, thanks for the advice there. Take that and throw that away. So they put on this list pesto, okay, dried meat, dried fish, jam, chocolate. I mean, there's loads of sugar in all this, but okay, mashed potato, powdered milk, and biscuits. So that was the list that they've issued out to everyone. They said in the war scenario, people will be more physically active than under normal circumstances, so you need to add at least 100 calories. Now, the other thing I was thinking about today was, you remember how we've talked about some other countries issuing this same. Okay, I'm just reading the chats here. People say, I'm with you. Yes, that's great. I'm with you, Neil. Okay, good. So I'm glad that people are aware of this stuff then. I was thinking about all the other countries that, in fact, before I say that, because people always say, Neil, you tell us this stuff, you don't give us solutions. Solutions. Fatty foods, proteins, you need things that are long lasting. If you are concerned, if you are in Europe and you're concerned about this coming war, as everyone calls it now, that they're calling it the coming war. So, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like when they say the recession is coming any day now. It's like people start saving, they stop spending, and the recession comes, right? Do you remember this video I did a while back? Let me show you this. Do you remember where I did this straw?
It's very simple. You get some dirty water.
I pulled this one on the shopping channel. I pulled this water out of the pond, and I was like, right, just to prove to you how good this straw is, and they're so cheap and lightweight.
Okay, straw. Okay, you ready?
There we go. That is what I talked about before. There's things like that, emergency water straws. These will save your life in these sort of crisis scenarios. Truly, they hold on, let me load up. Actually, let me load this one up. Here we go. Here we go.
This weird little straw could keep you from a painful death in a crisis. We've all felt the uneasy feeling of a boil water notice, but imagine losing water for days to a natural disaster, or with the way this world is going, due to an attack or a crisis that is completely out of your control. You see, without clean drinking water, you're not gonna last long, and drinking dirty water is gonna cut your survival rate in half. This genius device weighs just an ounce, but it can purify an entire year of clean drinking water. Think about trying to store a week's worth of water. What an absolute pain. It takes up so much room versus just having this little guy in your junk drawer.
And I think I probably, for those of you who remember watching that video when I talked about some equipment and things that you can get, I said to you, when I used to be in the military, I wasn't taking tons of water with me. I just took those straws. So they've been around for a long time. They're so low cost, so low weight. I highly recommend you actually grab them. I've got a link below in the description to Sierra that do it, because they give you a massive discount. I pass that discount on to you, by the way. That's one thing I recommend. The sleeping bags is another one. Just start thinking about this stuff now. You don't need to spend a lot of money. A lot of this stuff is very low cost. So start thinking about the low cost options that you can do now. So I'll put that link below in the description. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was, if you think how many countries have made these announcements now, it's a lot. Let me just pull up. I started doing some research for you. Norway was another country. They've allocated huge amounts now to stockpile grain, and they plan to store 15,000 tons per year until 2028 to 2029. Germany has also started this as well. Wheat, rye, barley. More recently, media reporting suggests that the German government has moved to expand those reserves to include ready-to-eat canned goods like lentils, ravioli, and other things in preparation for war. They're all saying the same thing. EU policy level, they rolled out, this was the EU Commission, they rolled out a stockpiling strategy under its preparedness union framework. And this is food. They said you need food, water, fuels, and medical supplies. So they say they're the 4 things that you need. And they recommend storing all this water when you actually don't need to do that. You don't need to store tons of water. You can just use these straws. And they've also recommended now that civilians throughout the whole EU maintain 72 hours of supplies in emergencies, because they say that the cavalry will not be coming. So you need to be able to survive for yourself. Let me show you this as well. This I thought was interesting. Look at this. England sees the second worst harvest on record, analysis shows. Here it is. It's seen the second worst harvest on record, according to government figures. Farmers have been reaping crops after the country's hottest spring and summer on record, as well as the driest spring in more than 100 years, with 5 regions remaining in official drought. Is that still accurate today, farmers? I know there's a lot of farmers watch the channel. Let me know, please. Provisional data from DEFRA released on Thursday suggests a much worse harvest than experts had so far predicted. So let me know if that is accurate. This was the other one. UK, and we're going to link this together in a second. UK grocery inflation accelerates to 5.2%, says World Panel. This again just came out last night. Why is this occurring? Why is food inflation? The government doesn't even seem to be commenting on it. Why is food inflation at 5.2% when it shouldn't be? It should be below 0%. Basically, it should be near 0%, because as technology increases and as yields get better and all the other things, you shouldn't be seeing this massive inflation on food. So they are causing it by closing the farms, overtaxing the farms. Farmers have to pass on the cost. They're overtaxing the businesses, the supermarkets. The supermarkets have to pass on the costs. There's national insurance higher now, wages higher. They're making all the regulations harder. They are crippling the country. That is what we are seeing. It's crazy. It's crazy what this government is doing. Also, in recent news, Denmark, right next door, is to buy 16 more F-35 stealth jets. The Royal Navy thought it would be really clever to surface their submarine next to a Russian spy ship to, and I quote, send a clear message, right? This is the stuff that we are seeing every day, and it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse and worse and worse. I'm just looking at the comments here as we go through. Eggs, yeah. Liam said eggs. Definitely. I was actually talking to someone today about all my chickens. They were like, Neil, how many chickens have you got now? And I was like, quite a lot. But we hatched out a load of chicks this year. And you will not believe this, but I only got one hen and all the rest were cockerels. I mean, for those of you who keep chickens, what are the odds of that? The odds of that happening are so slim, it's almost unbelievable. So now my wife said, what are we going to do with all these cockerels? And they don't sleep in the coops anyway. They just sleep in the trees. I said, just leave them. Just leave them. They can live rent-free on the estate, and they can just go find their own food. They can run in the coop if they want and get some food in the morning. We'll just leave them to it. Crazy. Plenty of chicken meat if needed. But yeah, check out the emergency sleeping bag. Well, actually, that was on the other video. But check out the water straw that I talked about. Super cheap, super lightweight. We used to take these on patrols. We used to use them. You don't need to carry tons of water and have all this other stuff. That's what I would suggest anyway. But yeah, start looking at your prepping supplies now, especially if you're in Europe, and just start planning this out, because it's not looking good, as we keep coming back to. It's only escalating, and yeah, we'll have to just see how this one plays out. But thanks for being a subscriber here. Really appreciate you. Take care. God bless you. God bless your family, and I'll see you on the next one.